Okay, and here we go. Welcome back to Stocks at the Numbers, and it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. We're looking at SoundHound AI Incorporated, ticker symbol SOUN, here on the NASDAQ, coming to you about an hour after the market closed. We had quite an impressive day for SoundHound, running up basically right to my trend line here for the most part. You can see it closed right at it, actually spiked up above it slightly to almost 8.5, but we can see closed at 8.25, up $1.27, a touch over 18% move today, after hours staying green right now. And again, this top trend line, just to break down these technicals again for you quickly, this is from the instant pop back in May of 22, connecting down to that recent breakout we had where it ran up above 10 after that Nvidia news, March 14, 2024. So that's cutting across those tops, and you can see that it popped up above it and it closed and it stopped right basically below it, right at it. But if we pull up the 1-day chart, you can see as well, look, ran right up to the trend line. Good start in the morning, ran right up to the trend line, slight rejection, stayed above the 20-day, tried to test, got above it, hard rejection, and then spiked up even higher to where it was, just remaining bullish, keeping that momentum. And then you can see, again, coming back down to test, and then had a healthy bounce and stayed above the line for actually a couple of hours. Comes down to test the line, right, breaks down below it, tries to come back up and get back above it, spikes up above it, comes down to test it, bounces off the fib, comes right back to the line to test it, and then pulls back slightly. So as we can tell, this is why, again, everyone uses all different types of indicators, and I can appreciate that 100%. But this is why, in my opinion, I feel trend lines are very pertinent to try to see where a stock can run to, where you might run into some resistance, where a stock can pull back to, where you might see a bounce and have some support, where you can potentially start to build a position on that big dip, right? So that's why, me personally, I like using some moving averages. I like using these trend lines, but as we see, that worked out pretty damn well. And now the real question that everyone has is, okay, are we going to like flatten out and try to like hold this line and maybe try to bounce up off of it and run maybe back to the 9s and the 10s? Or are we now going to see like the slight pullback and we start to drop back into the 7s and back into the 6s? As you see here, this trend line as well was a pretty key trend line. And this was going back from these highs, third week of July 22 to about first week of February 23, just going across those tops. And we looked at that trend line as well. When we first had that news and the big spike up, you could see it stopped right at that trend line, and then it instantly came down to retest it, and then it bounced up. So this technically is a key line as well. So that's why after it really going on this surge just over the last couple of weeks, I can appreciate the fact if we happen to reject and come back and retest that trend line. As you see on my screen, you're looking like around maybe 682, 684-ish, kind of like around that range. And also you have the 20-day moving average now moving up, trailing with it, right? So that's why if it pulls back the next couple of days, it might meet up right around that trend line, right around this moving average, maybe like 660, 670 or something. And then you might see a bounce trying to go back up, because we technically, in my opinion, have a good grower on our hands. We pretty much, for the most part, keep getting positive catalysts in the news headlines and the updates coming out of the company. And of course, they recently talk about Amelia again. SoundHound shares rising Friday. What's going on? The company announced the deployment. The company announced the deployment of its conversational AI agent Amelia at Apivia Cottage as part of the AEMA group. In a press release Thursday, which was yesterday technically, SoundHound reported that Amelia AI agents managed over 100,000 customer calls in 24, reducing the volume of inbound queries handled by human employees at Apivia Cottage by nearly 20%. These calls were largely focused on medical expense reimbursements and insurance policy information. The deployment, which began in January 23, was designed to improve efficiency and allow customer service teams to focus on higher value tasks. So right now, currently, we kind of just rolled this out and we're able to handle about 20% of this load of these calls coming in. Again, basically helping the current customer service agents, I guess, be more efficient and handle the higher value tasks, as they say. So this is what I said also when we first heard about this AI voice technology coming to market. Right, we were saying that if they continue to prove the efficiency and the value in their software, then it's only a matter of time before the word is going to spread. More and more people are going to sign up with them, use the service, and then of course if they're shown the efficiency and they're able to save time, save money, whatever the positive result might be, it's obviously going to speak volumes for SoundHound. And that's why I was talking about it for quite some time and kind of just seeing how big this could be 2, 3, 5 years from now. And I still stand by that analysis right now, but that's just my opinion. So the CEO stated that integrating the AI system enhanced work quality for employees and improved workplace atmosphere. Well, that's good. At SoundHound emphasized the benefits of automation and enabling contact center staff to manage more complex tasks. Quote, with AI agents managing routine customer questions, our employees are now able to focus on more rewarding and valuable aspects of their work. We're thrilled to support them in delivering thousands of high-quality interactions. One of France's largest insurance entities, serving over 11 million customers through more than 1,600 agencies and 3,900 brokers. The group's annual revenue exceeds 15 billion. So that's why you start dealing with some of these businesses who are bringing in, 15, 20, 50 billion in revenue, and you're showing them, look how much time we're saving you, look how much money, look how much in the cost we're saving you. Trust me when I tell you that this is why I say, in my opinion, I really do think this can be pretty extreme over the long term. Quote, projects like this really show the incredible value AI and automation can deliver, not only to our customers, but also to their customers. SoundHound shares were up big. What is this? It just kind of talks about SoundHound rose. Supermicro having a good day as well. We'll do another update on SMCI. Why not? SoundHound could be the next AI powerhouse. AI sector is booming, with companies like NVIDIA leading the charge, delivering stunning returns for investors. However, a smaller player, SoundHound, has quietly outperformed most of the biggest industry giants, including NVIDIA, right? Because in my opinion, as good as the NVIDIAs and the Microsofts of the world might be, you want, technically in my eyes, the smaller, up-and-coming, under-the-radar stocks that are going to have huge growth that no one's going to talk about until after it happens. And you saw something similar happen with SMCI, and now you're seeing it with something like SoundHound. Now that the stock started raging, right? We were looking at it back in the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, and then when it started to pop on the NVIDIA news, all of a sudden it's at 6, 8, 10. Then that's when everyone starts talking about it, keeping an eye on it. So that's why, again, you want to try to get in before that spotlight gets thrown on it. But of course, we know we can't catch every move. But the company has achieved the year-to-date return exceeding 200%, surpassing NVIDIA. Is it time to expand? SoundHound's success deeply rooted in the company's proprietary voice AI technology. Unlike many competitors focused primarily on text-based solutions, SoundHound has strategically targeted the rapidly expanding voice AI market. Its core offerings, including SoundHound Chat AI, Dynamic Drive-Through, and Smart Answering, provide businesses across diverse sectors, right? That's what we spoke about as well, with powerful tools to enhance customer interactions and streamline operations. SoundHound, okay, delay of weather, sports, yep. Its platform boasts exceptional speech recognition accuracy and natural language processing capabilities, allowing for more seamless and intuitive voice interactions than traditional systems. This translates to significant improvements in areas like customer satisfaction and operational efficiency for businesses. Yep, we go over earnings again. Yep, they upped that guidance again, 155 to 175 million now expected for 2025. In my opinion, you get news of like one new big contract coming in as well on top of what else they were expecting. I mean, again, you may see that guidance bumped up to like 170 to 200 million. Who knows? Only time will tell. Okay, yep, currently operating at a loss. We know this. Yep, we got some people with 950 price targets. Even again, the lowest of the range sitting here at $6 roughly. So that's why, again, we were looking at previous price target updates and upgrades from analysts during our SoundHound update videos over the last several months. And we were seeing that like every quarter, every month or so, you just had someone coming out, oh yeah, instead of $4, we think it's going to $5.50. And instead of $5.25, we're bumping it up to $6.25. Right? Instead of $6 now, we see it going to $7.50. So you're slowly starting to see that the analysts at Wall Street are now potentially seeing the value that we initially saw when we first started looking at it. Which, of course, I said was going to happen. But, yeah, in the new, I mean, we just looked at this about, a week or so ago. So, aside from that Amelia rollout and update, which, of course, was definitely good news, let's see, maintain a buy. I think we looked at it back on the 12th. So, this came out on the 14th. H.C. Wainwright, price target raised from 7 to 8. See what I mean? Just slowly and steadily moving up. Wedbush keeps outperform rating, ups from 9 to 10. Getting growing demand. All right, yeah, there was some downgrades too. In my opinion, maybe they're just looking at the current surge in stock price, so they feel it should pull back a little bit. Because overall, again, in my opinion, the way we're valuing even some of these up-and-comers, like your ASTSs, I think is a perfect example. And I understand, space sector, everything raged, it's going to be huge during this administration the next couple of years. I get it, but so could SoundHound. I think SoundHound has that same potential. So that's why ASTS not really bringing in revenue, 7 billion market cap, and we got SoundHound getting downgraded, potentially viewed as overvalued, and they're sitting here with like $2.5 to $3 billion market cap. That's why, I mean, technically, if we're just throwing 5, 7, 10 billion at all of these up and coming companies, to maintain SoundHound at a $4 or $5 billion market cap, that's why in my eyes, I don't think that's very extreme at all. But Ladenburg apparently downgraded the rating. The company, okay, Ladenburg downgraded its rating on SoundHound stock to neutral from buy with a $7 price target. All right, fine, fair enough. SoundHound cut to neutral from buy by Barclays. Price target maintained with $7 a share. So they don't say to buy it anymore. They say to remain neutral on it, but they're maintaining their price target. So, yeah, like you're admitting there's value there, but you won't keep a buy on it. I don't know. In my opinion, just seems silly. Just seems silly. But at least it's a neutral rating and not a sell rating, right? So I guess that's good news. Let's look at stock charts real quick. We can see now we had this big pop just in the last couple of days. Nice healthy bounce off the mid-Bollinger Band. RSI sitting here at almost 69, so we're approaching that benchmark. And you can see that we've broken above it and kind of held it maybe for a day or two. But you can see it usually happens to sell off, right? So this right now, even though we are, in my eyes, on the up and up over the long term, you have your traders playing the stock as well. So that's why something like this that can really swing as the RSI gets up and we approach, a trend line as we saw. Now you can have, a bunch of traders jump in, short the stock, buy some puts. We pull back, as we said, 7, maybe like that 680 level. Boom, they caught that quick swing. They made out like bandits. But, of course, for the long term, if you do have a pullback now, roughly 2 points, 25%, all of a sudden we go to 6.25 from 8.25. I mean, hey, if you miss the surge, but we're going to continue on the up and up, I mean, that could be viewed as a buying opportunity. But we had the MACD technically cross to the upside. But again, in my opinion, we may even climb up to maybe like $8.70 or $9 even, one of those high fib levels, 884 right here. So that might be actually another little breakout that can happen. Because again, the RSI technically could go a couple of points higher, right? So we could break up and out and then immediately pull back and start to drop back into the 7s after that RSI gets overextended. But in my opinion, again, it's all about this trend line. That's what you kind of have to keep an eye on. But if we do sell off, I would understand it. because again, we have really been on the up and up as of late. But in my opinion, if you miss this one and you do see a nice healthy sell-off back to the low sixes, or if we like randomly retest this 50-day moving average at 5.5, in my opinion, that could be viewed as an opportunity to now position yourself into the stock. Because I still say, with the market staying up, even if we don't keep rising, if we just kind of hold steady and don't have that 10-15% correction that we've been talking about, which apparently seems to be never coming. So unless markets really pull back, then in my opinion, SoundHound really shouldn't give back a lot of this value that it recently gained. So that's why even a pullback to 5 may be a gift if markets don't sell off and correct. So I know some people are like, oh, I wish I can see it at, $2.50, $3. You might really need the markets to kind of force it to give that value back in order to get that cost, in my opinion. But we can see we're curling here. So again, over the long term, we might like do one of these and come back up to that 10 level and then maybe start handling, right, or off a big long-term cup and handle. So I don't know, of course, sometimes it's dangerous to predict, but we have to keep an eye on it, and we'll see what we see. The RSI in the long term as well, though, you can see 68.5. Now, of course, we had that initial surge, and on the weekly, we stayed above that 70 benchmark for a couple of weeks, and we kind of forced that squeeze up to 10 plus. But then you can see we like instantly gave it back and dropped down to sub 4. So again, we could potentially force it up back to that 10 level, but it may be very short-lived again. Only time will tell. But now we have, again, that almost that 70 benchmark on both the daily and the weekly RSI. So that's why, some people mention they kind of took profits around this 8 and change level right near that trend line. In my opinion, I can understand that. I can appreciate that. Let's check the pivot points real quick. I'll let you go. Pivot point on the weekly, we can see, 687, we're well above that. And we can look here, technically, if we go last year, if we look at last year's top level, I mean, we're talking about $13. So, again, technically, what is this? High 497, high 511. So technically, we had a big drop, popped to almost 5, drop, technically made a higher high, but then we made lower lows, and then we popped up and technically made another higher high. So if we kind of continue on this trend, I mean, we may make a higher high compared to this one back here at exactly 10.25. So that's why you might see a breakup. You really might see a breakup. And if we do pop and instantly run to like 970, then people psychologically will want to get it to that $10 level, right? But again, you're going to have to keep an eye on the RSI and see what traders want to do. But the next stop may be $13. Again, that was back, and opened at 13.5. This is back May 22. Opened at 12.20, closed at 13.47. So yeah, maybe that 12.20 might be the spot. What was this right here? High of 10.80. So if we do happen to climb up and retest that high of that candle at 10.80, that would technically kind of keep this trend going of these slight higher highs over the long term, right? So we'll see. Definitely something to keep in mind. But we know this is one that has not only performed well since we looked at it, but is also pretty damn cool and pretty damn interesting in my opinion. So, we'll keep an eye on this one. We can see this was back the last time it ran up to the 10s. So we can see the next month it had top line resistance of, looks like maybe about 918 on my screen. So if we do happen to get back above that trend line around 830-ish and we hold, and it'll probably come down to retest it, but if it happens to bounce off it strong, then maybe around this level, around 918 might be the next stop. So we'll see. We have a couple of levels to keep an eye on, but again, we saw how much it was hanging out at around that $7 level. So this top resistance level of 704 as well. That's why if the traders do hit it with the potentially overextended RSI approaching, we could see that pullback to 704, and that's why if it wants to slightly break, we were looking at like 680, 670. Steam friend, my apologies. But again, could pull back to 704 and again 670, 680 like we said. But we'll keep an eye on it. But obviously, great day today for SoundHound. Very happy for everyone who watches the videos, who were interested, took a position. Shout out to everyone in the Discord who obviously keeps an eye on it. Everyone gets pumped, and we constantly analyze it and talk about it. So I'm just glad that it's remaining strong and worked out well, or is working out well for the majority of you. So that's good news, and definitely a great way to cap off a week with a good performer like this on a Friday, no less. So I'm glad that happened going into the weekend for everybody. And that's pretty much it. I'll end it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please drop it down in the comment section. I'm usually pretty quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, and they are very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time, and enjoy your weekend.